What's a job that's way too overhyped but in reality is just pure hell? Game development. Looks like heaven, feels like respawning in Dark Souls with no armor. People think you just play games all day and get free pizza. Nope, you're stuck crunching, fixing bugs that multiply like cockroaches, and working under deadlines set by people who don't know what a line of code even looks like. By the time the game actually ships, you're a sleep-deprived skeleton held together by caffeine and memes. And yeah, half the players still yell this game is trash on day one. Teaching. People still think it's this wholesome job where you inspire kids and get summers off. Spoiler, it's basically speed running burnout. You're underpaid, constantly dealing with parents who think little Timmy is a misunderstood genius when he's actually just throwing erasers, and admin who pile on extra work like it's free DLC. Sure, summers off sound nice, but half that time you're doing unpaid prep, side hustles, or recovering from the school year like you just finished a marathon with ankle weights. Software development looks glamorous from the outside. Remote work, high salaries, beanbag chairs, and free snacks. But the reality, half the time you're debugging spaghetti code written by some intern from 2012. The other half you're sitting in meetings where managers say things like, "Can't you just make the app faster?" As if you've got a magic button for that. Yes, the pay can be good, but the burnout is real. Endless deadlines, constant learning because tech changes every 5 minutes, and the joy of getting a Slack ping at midnight because the servers went boom. Zookeeper here, you need a degree and the pay, $14 an hour. Unless someone is supporting you financially, you just can't survive. You're outside in all kinds of weather, constantly cleaning up rainbow sprinkles, you know what I mean. And the physical strain wrecks your body before you even hit your late 20s. So much time is spent on cleaning that you barely get to enjoy the animals. On top of that, coworkers can be rough. A lot of them love animals way more than humans, so working together isn't always smooth. Visitors? Absolute chaos gremlins. Kids scream, bang on the glass, and adults aren't much better. They just want the animals to do something. It's so disrespectful. Burnout in this field is next level. The job drains you physically, financially, and emotionally. Not sure if it's still considered a dream job, but being a vet, total sad burrito. I got a friend from high school who always dreamed of being a veterinarian. We did undergrad together, then she went off to vet school. She finally achieved her dream, became a vet, and years later I ran into her. I was like, "Wow, you did it, you're a vet now." And she just goes, "Yeah, I hate my job." That hit me like a brick made of soggy pizza. It's heartbreaking when someone spends their whole life chasing a dream only to find out it's nothing like they imagined. Lawyer. Everyone thinks it's all suit-style drama and big stacks of money. Reality? Mountains of paperwork, deadlines that eat your soul, and spending more time in dusty offices than in actual courtrooms. Unless you're in the tiny percentage who make it into big corporate law, you're not exactly rolling in cash. Public defenders? They're basically superheroes working for potato-level pay. And even if you do land that high-paying job, say goodbye to weekends, sleep, and anything resembling a personal life. You'll be billing hours until your eyeballs fall out. I'm also a zookeeper, and I completely agree. I got lucky. I work for a big organization with a solid team and a union, which is the only reason I've managed to stay afloat. Plus, my love for the animals keeps me going. But overall, the industry is rough. Low paid, long hours, plenty of risks, barely any career growth, and few skills that transfer outside of zoos. If you try to complain, you're reminded there's a line of people ready to take your spot for even less money. Without financial support, it's nearly impossible long term. If it weren't for my husband's income, I couldn't keep doing this, and that's with a permanent position and above average pay for the field. Video game tester. Everyone thinks you just play games all day. In reality, you're basically ignored. The tasks are monotonous and repetitive, endless compliance checks and bug reports completely suck the fun out of gaming. I design games myself and I absolutely love testers. Without them, there wouldn't be a single good game. They're the unsung heroes of the process, letting me focus on code, though I'm glad I don't have to do their job. Starting your own business? Everyone says you're your own boss. You control your time. In reality, you end up working harder than ever for someone else's company, and suddenly all the problems are yours. Also, you often earn less because some big company can undercut you with better margins thanks to capital. Most people starting a small business keep working another job just to keep the business afloat because competing is insanely hard. Being a doctor, especially a primary care physician in the US, sure, the salary is high, but you sacrifice your 20s on schooling, miss all the fun events, and rack up $250,000 to $500,000 in debt. And when you finally become a doctor, you realize you can't actually work properly because insurance companies are constantly fighting you to avoid paying for treatments that could actually help patients. Profit matters more than people. You lose faith in humanity because the system is rotten to the core. Now for a truly overhyped job, construction trades. Everyone says don't go to college, go work with your hands. But salaries are often overestimated. Yes, you can hit six figures, but only if you grind ridiculously hard. Wouldn't it be better to work less and earn more? Plus, you risk wrecking your body by 40. Lots of older folks and even younger guys have told me it's not worth it. Engineering. Working conditions for engineers are actually pretty decent, often better than many other professions. So why did I mention it? The problem is expectation mismatch. Most people become engineers because they love math, solving problems, tinkering with machines. Real engineering work barely uses math. In 10 years, I might have done something more complicated than a basic integral twice. Instead, you spend your days filling out paperwork and attending boring meetings. Then you get locked into a narrow niche, and escaping it is almost impossible. You could spend 30 years designing office ventilation and nothing else. Many engineers dream of designing planes, ships, or robots, but instead, they're filing TPS reports every week. Maybe controversial, but I think surgeon jobs are overrated. I dated a surgeon. He was brilliant, but stressed, and all his surgeon friends were the same. Treating patients like cars in a repair shop for too long messes with your brain. The pressure is insane. Psychologist. Movies make it look glamorous and many people want to get into it. In reality, most clients don't want to change their lives, they just want someone else to do it for them. So you spend time talking to difficult clients. With those actually willing to change, it's enjoyable but short-lived. They improve quickly and disappear. Comments like these really messed with my mental state in my 20s. I gave up a lot of hobbies. If you're reading this and genuinely drawn to one of these professions, heck, go for it. Reddit tends to be super negative, but if it's your passion, try it. Scrolling through this thread is just disappointment after disappointment. Seems like all jobs kinda suck, mostly due to low pay and overwork. Why hasn't humanity solved this yet and given people normal pay for a 35-hour week? Librarian? Nope, we don't sit reading books all day. We deal with horrible patrons and idiots disputing books they can't even read. Low pay, understaffed, and bookstores are basically hell. I've been a nurse for 12 years. If I could do something else for the same pay, I would, but I can't, so I'm kinda stuck. I hated medicine for the first few years. Then I moved from a general ward to ICU, and my perspective changed. Now I'm in administration and close to retirement. Nursing has tons of directions. If clinical work isn't your thing, try non-medical positions. Clinics, school health departments, prisons, or maybe study to become an anesthesiologist. Those 12 years are a huge experience. Don't get stuck in one place. There's always a way forward. A huge chunk of your time goes into calls for prior authorizations with insurers, all unpaid, off-the-clock work. And then there's the fact that tons of patients just need to quit smoking, stop drinking, and eat better. But guess what? They don't. Boring, exhausting work, low pay, and a nearly guaranteed path to becoming a professional drinker? A year and a half ago, my brewery shut down. I applied everywhere, from warehouse to maintenance, production to apprentice brewer, got rejected across the board. No big deal. I landed a job at an energy company, handling equipment and doing multi-role tech support. Salaries 3 times higher. Still exhausting though. And yes, the potential for alcoholism remains. Journalism looks exciting, chasing stories, uncovering truth, maybe even becoming the next big name on TV. But in practice, low paychecks, insane deadlines, and editors breathing down your neck while you're trying to fact-check at light speed, adding constant online hate because apparently everyone thinks they can do your job better, and the joy of risking your safety if you're covering protests or messy politics. Most of the time, you're typing like a goblin at 2 a.m. just to hit word count, wondering if anyone will even read past the headline. The passion keeps you going, but your bank account definitely doesn't. Being a doctor sounds like prestige, respect, and a giant paycheck. Reality? Years of school debt, 80-hour work weeks, and living on vending machine granola bars. You deal with patients who Google their symptoms and now argue with you like they've got a PhD from WebMD University. Add to that insurance companies blocking treatments, endless paperwork, and the joy of being on call at 3 a.m. because someone decided to test how many energy drinks a human body can survive. Yes, some doctors eventually earn good money, but the road there is paved with sleep deprivation, stress, and debt that could fund a small moon colony. Corporate jobs that look cushy on the outside, also clown fiesta. Everyone imagines you sitting in an ergonomic chair, sipping lattes, and clicking a few spreadsheets. Reality? Endless meetings that could have been emails, constant urgent tasks that magically appear at 5:55 p.m. on a Friday, and bosses who read one LinkedIn post and suddenly think they're visionaries. The burnout is sneaky. You're not physically exhausted, but mentally you feel like someone's been unplugging your brain and plugging it back in all day. Being a chef. Source, I'm a chef. The whole cooking industry is ridiculously romanticized. If you're good at making food or just passionate about it, people instantly tell you, oh, you should totally become a chef. TV shows make celebrity chefs look like rock stars with fat stacks of cash, but reality check, endless shifts for laughably tiny paychecks, even if you're skilled. Here's the ironic part. The fancier the restaurant, the less you get paid. Folks sweating it out at 3-star Michelin spots are basically working like NPCs on hardcore mode for pocket change. Meanwhile, if you land in a hotel, golf club, or some corporate cafeteria, you can actually make a decent living with benefits and a work-life balance, though you'll mostly be cooking meh food. Anything in the film industry? 12-hour shifts, zero job security, inflated egos, narcissism, and a personal life that evaporates. Source: my own terrible life choices. I'm 44, been in the industry for 18 years, and it's way too late to change careers. Funny story, I once worked at a vet school. We had a 50-year-old student in their last year who left the film industry at 40 and decided to become a vet, basically swapping one dumpster fire for another. Graphic design. Over time, low pay, constant misunderstanding, and devaluation. Anyone with a Canva account thinks they can do your job. As a creative, you end up delivering inspiration on demand like a barista serving lattes in a diner. It's incredibly draining. It always made me sad how extras are treated. On set, they're treated like cattle, fed last, food cold, no shade or shelter in bad weather, spoken about like disposable trash, but they're actually an essential part of the production. Adult film actor. Guys think, oh, you get paid to hook up with girls. They don't realize how horrible it actually is. One of the best comments I've seen from an adult actress responding to a fan asking how to get into the industry: trust me, you don't want this job. You don't want to constantly get aroused, perform 3+ times a day, start and stop a scene 20 times. You just want to fool around with a hot girl? Buy flowers, bro. Finance. I finish all my work in 3 hours, then just wait for someone to ping me on Teams, which rarely happens. And yes, it's a work from home job. Wait, this is actually a pretty awesome job. I went into computer science, now I sit at a computer all day. I expected this, but sometimes I realize I actually enjoy being outside. Wish I'd been a firefighter or a forest ranger. Flight attendant. Sounds glamorous, right? Travel the world, meet cool people, live the dream. Actual experience. Your sleep schedule is cursed, your diet is gas station sandwiches, and you're dealing with passengers who treat you like a vending machine with legs. Add to that the joy of turbulence while carrying a tray of 17 coffees. Sure, the travel perks are nice, but the job itself, pure chaos wrapped in a safety demo. Graphic design, art, writing, the fun creative jobs. From the outside, it looks like you're just vibing in a cafe with a latte, doodling cool stuff on your tablet. In reality, clients asking for 47 revisions because my cousin didn't like the color blue, people expecting you to work for exposure, and paychecks that feel more like pocket change from a vending machine. And if you freelance, congrats, you're now your own accountant, marketer, project manager, and therapist, all while hustling for gigs that ghost you harder than Tinder dates. Social work. Haha, everyone already knows my job is hell. Any job with frequent international travel seems glamorous at first. Then it's just exhaustion and boredom. Not really a job, more like a slow leak of your soul. I'm a former film actress. Sure, the job has perks, but it also comes with long day and night shoots, constant travel, waiting around, and repeating the same scenes over and over. The worst part? How it messes with your self-esteem. You start seeing yourself as a commodity, competing with others who think of themselves the same way. Skills matter less than looks. It's dehumanizing, especially if you're young, and doubly so if you're a young woman. I worked as an extra on a film shot near my workplace. It was the most boring thing I've ever done. 12 hours of waiting and repeating the same actions. They literally locked us in the building. I eventually found a freight elevator and snuck out. Judging by this thread, the conclusion is clear. Every job kinda sucks. Maybe it's time to move to the mountains, live in a tent, and survive off your own garden. Drug dealer life. What everyone imagines? Walter White or some cool guy in chains driving a fancy SUV. Reality? You live in a rundown trailer park, your friends are fake and always begging for a free dose, and at work you're dealing with messed up users. I was addicted myself, and it's a total dumpster fire. All for money that a waiter in a busy restaurant could make faster and easier. Being a barista sounds chill. Make coffee, chat with regulars, live that cozy cafe life. Reality check. Customers who treat you like a caffeine butler, morning rushes that feel like battle royales, and people ordering drinks with 17 modifiers like it's a side quest from a broken RPG. On top of that, the pay is usually one step above please don't starve, and you're on your feet all day dealing with spills, burns, and machines that break at the worst possible time. The only perk? Free caffeine, which is also the reason your hands never stop shaking.